Yo, I'm so excited to share these amazing stories with you while you watch the Minecraft game on the background. We are about to have a ride. They're amazing Reddit relationship tales that will turn your relationship game around. Let's start. Grab a popcorn or coffee and journey with me. I unlocked my husband's phone while he was asleep. I know how that sounds. Some people will call it snooping. Some will call it crossing a line. Maybe it was. But I'll tell you this. When you live with someone long enough, when you've built a life together brick by brick, you know when one of those bricks is cracked. And if you don't check it, the whole wall comes down. So I did it. I held his phone over his face while he snored, and Face ID did the rest. The lock opened, the screen lit up, and in that moment, the secret life of the man I thought I knew best was no longer hidden. But before I tell you what I found, you need to know why I reached that point. Because this didn't start with a phone. It started with a shift so small most people would have ignored it. Tyler and I had been married for 10 years. 2 kids, a dog named Benny who thinks every sock is a toy, a mortgage, the works. We weren't flashy, but we were steady. That's what I thought. Then little things started changing. At first, it was the phone itself. Face down at dinner. Notifications silenced. A new password lock when he'd always been careless before. If I walked into the room, he'd flip it over. He claimed it was just work emails, nothing I'd care about. Then there were the late nights. Gym sessions that stretched past midnight. Client dinners on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Business trips that didn't exist on the company calendar when I quietly checked. He smelled different sometimes. Cologne he'd never worn before. The faint scent of wine when he said he'd been just driving home. Still, I told myself I was imagining things. Because you don't want to believe the person you love could build a lie so tall it blocks out the sun. The first real crack came on a Saturday. I was folding laundry, emptying pockets like I always did. From one of his dress shirts, a folded card slipped out, the kind you get from a hotel. A key sleeve. Scrawled in handwriting that wasn't his were the words, "Next time, don't forget your ring, winky face." I froze. The washing machine hummed like nothing was wrong, but my heart was pounding so hard I thought it might break through my ribs. I stood there staring at it, feeling like the floor was tilting under me. That night, I didn't say anything. I walked the dog instead. That's when I saw Mrs. Doyle, our neighbor. Retired teacher, white sneakers, blue jacket, always out at dusk like the street was her classroom. She saw my face and asked why I looked like I was carrying a stone in my chest. I showed her the sleeve. Her eyes narrowed. "Don't explode yet," she said. "Don't blow up your house without proof. If the fuse is burning, you find where it's leading. Gather your evidence. Quietly, carefully. Then decide if you want to rebuild or tear it down." So I started gathering. I checked our phone bill. One number appeared more than any other. Thousands of texts. Saved in his phone as B. Work. I had never heard of a client or coworker named B. Then, one night, curiosity outweighed fear. I opened Find My while he said he was at the gym. His little dot wasn't anywhere near the gym. It was at a hotel across town. I stared at it until the screen dimmed, until my stomach churned so bad I thought I'd be sick. I wanted to ask him right then, but I kept quiet. I remembered Mrs. Doyle's words. I needed more. 2 weeks later, we were at a friend's birthday dinner. Tyler excused himself to the restroom, leaving his phone on the table for once. It buzzed. A preview lit up. "Can't wait to see you. Bring the blue tie. B." My blood went cold. My hands trembled under the tablecloth. When he returned, I smiled, poured him wine, and carried on conversation. But inside, I knew the truth. That night, after he fell asleep, I did it. I unlocked his phone. I opened the thread with B. Work. It was Bianca. Thousands of messages. Some sweet, some dirty, some ordinary. All damning. They had nicknames. Plans. Inside jokes. Talk of hotel rooms. Talk of next time. It wasn't just physical. It was emotional. My breath came shallow. My chest hurt. I should have thrown the phone, screamed, woken him up. Instead, I did something else. Something colder. I texted Bianca from his phone. Just one line. "See you tonight. Room 417. Use my last name." Then I deleted it, placed the phone back on the nightstand, kissed his forehead like nothing was wrong, and lay awake staring at the ceiling. The next morning, he left for a client meeting. I made him breakfast. My hands didn't shake this time, because I had a plan. At noon, I called the hotel. "Hi. Do you have a reservation under the name Cole? I asked, forcing cheer into my voice. The receptionist chirped back. Yes. Room 417. Checking in this evening. My heart dropped, but I kept calm. Then I did something else. I found Bianca's husband, Jason. A quick search online, a Facebook profile, a business page. 2 kids. A cat. I sent him an email with screenshots and proof. Your wife is meeting my husband at the Hilton tonight, room 417. I didn't add insults. Just facts. Just the truth. By 6 p.m., I was parked across from the hotel with Mrs. Doyle riding shotgun. She handed me a notebook. Write down the facts as they happen, she said. Facts are anchors. At 6:02, Bianca walked in. Blue dress. Hair perfect. Smile nervous. She checked her phone. At 6:05, Tyler arrived. No ring. Blue tie. He touched her elbow. They went inside together. My chest locked. But I didn't cry. At 6:10, Jason showed up. Tall. Angry. Holding a folded piece of paper. He stormed through the doors. I followed. The elevator dinged. Out stepped Tyler and Bianca. And there was Jason, blocking their path. He handed her the paper. My email. Bianca's face drained of color. Tyler stammered. Jason didn't yell. He didn't swing. He just said, read it. I stepped forward then. My voice was calm, colder than I thought possible. We're done with lies, I told Tyler. You'll get an email from me tonight. Counseling options. Separation plans. You will never lie to me again. And then I walked out. That was the moment everything snapped into place. The trap had been sprung. The lie was dead. But the aftermath was far worse. When I got home, Carol, my mother-in-law, was sitting on our couch. Her hands were folded, her face pale. Is it true? She whispered. I didn't answer. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. His father did this to me. I stayed too long because I thought leaving would break him. Don't make the same mistake. Then the door opened. Tyler stepped inside. His shoulders slumped. His face gray. He saw his mother. He saw me. And he broke. 8 months, he admitted. At first I told myself it was business. Then a mistake. Then I thought I could keep both lives apart. Carol's voice cracked like glass. Lies multiply. They don't divide. Tyler sat down, buried his face in his hands. I don't want to lose you, he mumbled. I stared at him, at the man who was both my husband and a stranger. And I realized I didn't have to scream, didn't have to throw anything. The truth itself had done the cutting. And that's where the story leaves us. The marriage cracked open. The children still in the dark. The counseling not yet started. The job now at risk because word spreads fast when clients find out about business dinners. The only thing left between us was the truth. And the truth was heavier than any lie he'd ever told. So I sat there, staring at him, my mother-in-law crying beside me, and thought. Protecting your relationship doesn't always mean protecting your partner. Sometimes it means protecting yourself, protecting your children, protecting the truth from being buried again. And I knew one thing for sure. The next chapter of our life would not be written in the shadows. Let's dive straight into the second story. The best friend who tried to break up my marriage. I always thought the person who could hurt my marriage the most would be some stranger. A coworker. A neighbor. Someone who saw what I had and wanted to take it. I never thought the real danger would come from someone I called my best friend. Her name was Claire. We met in college, bonded over bad dorm food, and pulled all-nighters. She was the kind of friend you think will be there for life. The one who knows your coffee order, your inside jokes, the embarrassing stories you swore you'd take to the grave. She stood next to me at my wedding. She toasted us with tears in her eyes and said we were proof that love still existed. But here's what I know now. Sometimes people want to be close to you not because they love you, but because they want what you have. I didn't see it at first. After I married Michael, things were good. He was a steady man, not flashy, but the kind of husband who remembered to fill the gas tank when I forgot. The kind of father who got down on the floor to play Legos, even in a suit. Claire was always around. Dinners, birthdays, even family vacations. She joked that she was our third wheel, but I noticed how her eyes lingered on Michael a little too long sometimes. The first clue was subtle. She'd make comments in front of me, teasing. Wow, Michael, you really set the bar high for husbands. No wonder Hannah's spoiled. She'd laugh, but her hand would rest on his arm a beat too long. Or she'd say, if you ever get tired of him, I'll take him. It was always framed as a joke. But jokes have teeth when you repeat them enough. Then came the whispers. She started telling me little things, almost planting seeds. Michael seemed really distracted the other night. Or, I saw him talking to a woman at the store, and they looked close. When I asked her for details, she'd shrug and say, "Oh, it was probably nothing." At first, I brushed it off. But slowly, those seeds grew into doubts. I started noticing Michael's late nights at work, the way he sometimes seemed tired. Things I used to ignore now felt suspicious because Claire had pointed them out. One night, after a glass of wine too many, she leaned close and said, "You know, men cheat. It's just a fact. You should always be prepared." Her words sank into me like poison. The turning point came one Saturday. Michael had gone to pick up groceries, and Claire was over for coffee. She leaned across the table, her eyes wide, and said, "I don't want to hurt you, but I think Michael's hiding something. I saw him coming out of a hotel downtown last week." My heart stopped. "A hotel?" I asked. She nodded solemnly. "He didn't see me. But Hannah, you need to be careful. Protect yourself." I wanted to believe her. She was my best friend. But something in her tone felt off. Too rehearsed. Too eager. That night, I confronted Michael. His face was pure confusion. "A hotel? Hannah, I was at a client meeting at the cafe across the street. I have the receipt." He pulled it out of his wallet. Coffee and a sandwich, time-stamped. My stomach twisted. When I told him Claire was the one who'd said it, his face changed. Not angry, just disappointed. "She's lying to you," he said quietly. "Why would she do that?" I didn't have an answer, but I started watching. Not Michael, Claire. I noticed how she called him when she knew I wasn't around. How she showed up unannounced, bringing dinner, always insisting she was just helping. How she wore dresses a little tighter, laughed a little louder at his jokes. The final straw came one night when I left my phone on the counter. A text popped up from Michael. "Did you tell Claire I was working late?" She just texted me asking if I was lonely. I felt ice in my veins. I checked her messages. She had been texting him behind my back for weeks. Friendly at first, then bolder. "You deserve someone who really sees you. Hannah doesn't know how lucky she is." And finally, "If you ever need to talk, I'm here. Always." I confronted her the next day. She tried to laugh it off. "Oh, come on, it was harmless. I was just being a friend." But when I pressed her, when I showed her the texts, the mask slipped. Her face hardened, and she said, "Maybe if you were enough for him, he wouldn't need someone else to talk to." That was the moment I realized Claire wasn't my friend. She was a snake waiting for the right moment to strike. I cut her off completely, blocked her number, told her never to come to my house again. Michael backed me, furious that she'd tried to wedge herself between us. But the damage was done. Not to our marriage. If anything, we grew stronger, more united. The damage was to my trust in people. Months later, I ran into someone at the grocery store, a mutual friend. She leaned close and whispered, "Have you heard about Claire? She's been bragging that she almost broke up a marriage." Almost. That word stuck with me. Because here's the truth. She didn't win. She didn't get what she wanted. What she did was remind me that protecting your relationship isn't just about guarding against outsiders you don't know. Sometimes the danger comes wearing the face of a friend. So now I protect what I have. I talk to Michael openly. I don't let other voices plant doubts in my head. And I don't mistake jealousy for loyalty. Because the hardest truth I learned is this. Not everyone who claps for you at your wedding wants to see your marriage succeed. All right, Chief, here's the final chapter. Plain, long-form narration like the first two, sharp and emotional, no subtitles. This is Chapter 3. I almost lost my wife because I took her for granted until I saw her packing. I'll tell you something most people don't admit out loud. Sometimes you don't lose your relationship to another man or woman. Sometimes you lose it to your own blindness. And that was almost me. Her name is Sarah, my wife. We've been married for 12 years. We've got 2 kids, a mortgage, a messy garage we kept promising we'd clean out on weekends. On the outside, everything looked fine. Friends would call us this steady couple. People envied our perfect little family. But what people didn't see was the cracks. And here's the ugly truth. I put them there. It started small. Long work hours. A little too much scrolling on my phone at night instead of talking to her. Choosing meetings over family dinners. Forgetting little things like her favorite coffee creamer or the book she mentioned 3 times she wanted to read. I didn't mean to hurt her. I told myself I was providing, building a future for us. But the future doesn't matter much if the present feels empty. The first time I noticed the distance was on our anniversary. She gave me a beautiful watch. I gave her a half-hearted, "We'll go out sometime next week," because I hadn't planned anything. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I told myself it was fine. Then came the silence. Not fights. Silence. She stopped asking me to put my phone down. Stopped reminding me to call if I'd be late. Stopped waiting up. She tucked herself into her own world. Books, quiet walks, evenings helping the kids with homework. I mistook that silence for peace. It was actually exhaustion. The wake-up call came one Thursday evening. I came home late from work, thinking I'd grab a plate of leftovers and crash. Instead, I found her in our bedroom with a half-packed suitcase on the bed. I froze in the doorway. "What's going on?" She looked at me, calm but tired. "I'm leaving for a while." It felt like someone punched the air out of my lungs. "What do you mean? Where are you going?" "To my sister's," she said. "I can't keep doing this, Michael. I feel invisible. I feel like a roommate you barely tolerate. I've been trying to tell you for years, but you weren't listening. So now I'm done talking." I wanted to argue, to defend myself, to say, "I work hard for this family," but the words caught in my throat. Because deep down, I knew she was right. I hadn't cheated with another woman, but I had cheated with my time, my attention, my presence. I walked over and sat on the edge of the bed. "Please don't go," I whispered. I didn't realize how bad it got. She sighed. "That's the problem. You didn't realize. That night was the lowest point of my life." She stayed, but only because of the kids. She made it clear she wasn't sure if she wanted to keep the marriage. For weeks after that, I lived like a man on trial. Every moment was heavy with the question, can I fix this? Or is it already too late? I started showing up differently. I left work on time. I put my phone in a drawer during dinner. I asked about her day and actually listened. I wrote down things she said so I wouldn't forget. I started therapy on my own to figure out why I'd been so emotionally absent. At first, she didn't believe it. She thought it was temporary guilt. And honestly, maybe it was. But then something shifted. One night, she came into the kitchen and found me washing dishes. Not just rinsing, scrubbing, stacking, cleaning. She laughed a little and said, "Who are you?" I smiled and said, "A man who doesn't want to lose his wife." Slowly, walls came down. We started taking walks together again, laughing at dumb TV shows. Sitting on the porch after the kids went to bed, talking like we used to when we were young and broke and in love. The turning point came 6 months later. It was a rainy night. We were sitting in the living room with the kids watching a movie. She leaned against me, and for the first time in a long time, it didn't feel forced. She whispered, "I was this close to leaving." I swallowed hard. She added, "But I'm glad I didn't." That was the night I realized. Protecting your relationship isn't just about fighting off outsiders or exposing lies. Sometimes it's about waking up before you lose the person standing right in front of you. I almost lost my wife because I stopped seeing her. Because I thought marriage would run on autopilot. But nothing precious takes care of itself. You have to guard it, water it, notice it. Or one day you'll come home and find a suitcase on the bed. So now, every day, I choose differently. I choose to notice. I choose to listen. I choose to show her she matters. Because the truth is, love doesn't usually die in explosions. It dies in the slow, quiet moments when you stop showing up. And if you don't protect it, you'll lose it before you even realize it's gone.